I'd like to give a special shout out to all my patrons, my Wildlings, Night's Watch, and Kingsguard. My Kingsguard include Brendan, Nick, Oscar, Stuart, Josephine, Ikaika, Amanda, RJ, Shad, Nicoletta, Ezra, Jennifer, Jeffrey, Sarah, Pat, Kevin, and Ryan. Thank you all so much. You're the best.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Network, everyone. My name is, of course, Jimmy Nuts, and today, after 2 years of saying I would do it and never doing it, the meme's dead. I'm actually going to do a bookshelf tour today. I'm going to be covering all my main shelves as well as some of my other accessory shelves. I have books kind of all over the house at this point, so I'll be showing you kind of my George R. R. Martin shelf as well as the shelf that we put upstairs in our living room and a couple other goodies that I have that I just kind of want to show off because no one else thinks they're cool besides me. So without further ado, finally, let's do the Fantasy Network bookshelf tour.
For those who are curious, the way I organize my bookshelves, the top three on both tall, which are Billy's from IKEA, are just kind of a random assortment of my favorite books, collector's editions, things I think look really nice in a set. The bottom three on both shelves are alphabetical, and they kind of connect. And then the middle bookshelf here, the little one, it's unfortunately not a Billy. There's a shortage, so I couldn't get it. However, it is just Stephen King and some manga. And you'll see the bottom right shelf all the way at the end when we get there. It's kind of a random assortment of books that I just got that I haven't been able to reorganize yet. I'm starting to run out of some shelf space. But let's start with the top left here. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to pull these off. So I apologize for that. But here we have the Stormlight Archive. This is the Kickstarter 10-year anniversary edition from The Way of Kings. Split into 2 volumes. Really, really nice. I mean, they're beautiful. Not sure how they read yet. Leather bound can be a little bit tricky. That's why I actually usually prefer the Folio Society's way of doing things, which is like cloth back. Looks really, really nice as well. But yeah, The Way of Kings Anniversary Edition is one of the best collector's editions that I own, in my opinion. You'll see I have the rest of Stormlight Archive up here. Rhythm of War's release is phenomenal. That hardback's better than most anniversary or collector's editions of other books. I want them all in hardback. Unfortunately, I already rebought them. I had them in mass market paperback. I don't want to rebuy them again, so it is what it is. That green book you're seeing here, this is actually The Hobbit. It's in a slipcase. It's really, really nice. I got it from Books A Million. It's one of my favorite books I own as well. I mean, who doesn't love The Hobbit? You have Dracula. The Dracula, Foundation, and The Stand and Dune, except for this middle Dune. These are all the Barnes & Noble Collector's Editions, which for the price are really, really good deal in my opinion. They're terrific. Dracula I have not read. I've read everything on this shelf except for Dracula and Name of the Wind. Name of the Wind, something I'll be reading here in the coming future. I hope maybe this year. It's one I know I'm going to like fairly certain. So I'd like to get to it. And these right here. These are books 2 and 3. You might say, why do you have 2 random Dark Tower books? Well, these are actually from Viking publisher and their first editions. And they have really, really neat spines. They actually line up. The dust jacket here is pushed up a little bit, as you can see. So if I just push that down, boom, got it. Some amazing illustrations in those. And those are 2 of my favorite books. I got a really good deal on them at a local store called Second Edition Books. And pretty phenomenal. And now we have the Wheel of Time shelf. So when I was getting back into fantasy, everyone told me if I liked the Song of Ice and Fire, which you'll see, I'm a pretty big fan, everyone said, go ahead and read the Wheel of Time. It's just as good. It's just like it. You'll love it. That was incorrect. Really, really loved books 1 and 2. Thought 3 and 4 were okay. Was told if I didn't love book 4, I should stop. I did. I stopped for a year. Read Fires of Heaven. Did not enjoy it very much. And yeah, so I have all of them because I bought them all up front because I am a dummy. But here's the thing. I'm going to finish them eventually, okay? And let's be honest. Even mass market paper, those look awesome. They look so good on the shelf. And I'll probably be doing Lords of Chaos and then over the summer, if I had to guess. I'll probably do it over the summer with the Heroes of the Horn podcast with Matt and Ez. They do a read-along, very slow. So even though it's not my favorite series, something I do want to complete over time. It's not that I detest it so much I can never read another page. It's just for the investment time period. It's not something I want to rifle through and do like a book a month. Just not going to happen. You'll see here, these are my mass market paperbacks. When I got back in the reading, I thought I just loved mass market paperbacks and was like, why would anyone ever want a big book? Turns out I'm an idiot again. I actually love trade paperbacks. So I do have some duplicates. You'll see Gardens of the Moon I tore through. But as you get the Memories of Ice, they're simply just too big. They're just way too big. And then this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a hidden gem right here. This is Alien Earth by Megan Lindholm, a.k.a. Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb wrote a sci-fi novel. I've actually heard it's rather good. It says a compelling and spectacular journey of discovery. One thing I will say that's consistent about this and Realm of the Elderlings, terrible book name, and not the best cover either. The cover's okay. Alien Earth, horrible name, but that kind of goes with the theme of Robin Hobb's book titles being a little bit subpar. I do love Robin Hobb, though, so don't get it twisted. All right, and then we're coming down here, and this is one of my special shelves. This is one of my display shelves. You'll see these are all the Alan Lee illustrated editions, and I have a nice little corncob pipe from my friend Chris. Chris, thanks for that. And these are the Weta Workshop, which Weta Workshop were the people who worked on the movie and all of the designs. So really, really cool to get these from them. They were a little harder to find. I'm pretty sure they're pretty easy to find now, but at the time when I got them, they were a little bit scarce. So I'm not sure what they are now. Love these illustrated editions. They're really good with immersive reads from Andy Serkis' new narration for the trilogy and for The Hobbit. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you're a huge Tolkien fan. And I'm actually going to jump over here to the right shelf because I want to do the top 3 on each before I dive into the alphabetical orders because I think it makes more sense, but who knows. So John Gwynne, if you've been watching, you know I love John Gwynne. John Gwynne's books are awesome. I love the simplicity of the Faithful and the Fallen books. I love the title, and by simplicity I mean design, right? I love the design, the weapons, the names, just really minimalistic, but it works. It really, really works for me, and I love it. As well as the sequel trilogy here. Loved it. Shadow of the Gods was awesome. One of my favorite new releases of 2021. And then we have Lord Grimdark himself. We have First Law, Joe Abercrombie. Might be wondering where the dust jackets are on these. I actually ordered these used and they didn't come with them. Kind of a bummer because it wasn't actually marked like that on books, but it is what it is. And then you have these. I know some people prefer the UK editions to these. These are the American editions. I'd love to see what you think down in the comments. And now we come to one of my favorite shelves of all time, featuring my second favorite series of all time with a little bonus at the end here. But if you're wondering, I have these from Belligerently Bookish on Instagram. These are bookmarks with fits in the full, and then in between is an actual six duchies map. But I wanted to show you guys these bookmarks. So this is the full Beloved, right? With quotes on the back. It was the whole of your heart, all for myself, that I sought. Pretty excellent. And then you'll see here on the back of this, if I can get it to focus, it says, he mocks me, but from him it seems a kindness, which it never focused. And then here, this is also from Belligerently Bookish on Instagram, is a kind of map, right, of the 6 duchies. And it looks really, really rugged, and it folds up, sits really, really nicely on the shelf. If you didn't know, the 6 duchies map is Alaska turned upside down, I believe. Hopefully I got that right. I believe it is Alaska, where Robin Hobb is from. But yeah, these are the UK editions of Realm of the Elderlings. I love these. They're very simplistic, and they get the job done. The American covers are pretty much trash, if I'm being honest. Maybe some of the later ones are better, but Paul Rudd basically is featured on the front of Assassin's Apprentice for the US edition, it's awful. And then at the end, I just have a really generic version of Lord of the Rings. I just like to have those to tear through so I don't tear up my illustrated editions. And then the final kind of collector special shelf here on the right side, before we get into the alphabetical orders that spans over the 2 tall bookshelves, I wanted to show you, and you guys know what this is, right? These are the Folio Society editions of A Song of Ice and Fire. What is there else to be said? I have an entire unboxing video on my channel. If you want to check that out, go ahead and check it out. I unboxed literally all of them, and I fanboy the entire time. So if you're interested in what these look like in the illustrations, I'm telling you, the detail of these are just phenomenal. I mean, it's incredible. And another thing, these read very well. I don't feel like I'm going to tarnish them by reading them. I couldn't recommend them any higher, really. Got my Gurm Funko Pop sitting on side of a Christmas ornament of the Iron Throne. Listen, I'm so glad that we had an adaptation, no matter what happened with the ending, because guess what? So much merch that I get to just be a fanboy over. You'll see here, these are the Bantam illustrated editions. I'm very mixed on these. A lot of people say steer completely away from them. The quality's terrible, yada, yada, yada. I actually don't agree. I think they're good editions, especially for the price that's charged. However, this book, phenomenal. Illustrations are phenomenal. The binding's awesome. There's a plethora of illustrations. The I don't even want to say the quality of illustrations are lower. They're different styles, so that's going to hit with different people. So much less illustrations in 2 and 3. Very, very disappointing, because this feels like a premium book. This has really good illustrations. They totally cheaped out in 2 and 3, and honestly, it's pretty disappointing. I'm glad I have them, because I obviously love A Song of Ice and Fire, but just know that the quality of 2 and 3, in my opinion, did drop. So if you're a big fan, or maybe a mild fan, you want a nice edition, I think this first one is worth it, and maybe 2 and 3. They are planning to release A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons as well. So now we're going to do the bottom 3 over here and over there, and then I'll bounce into the middle and talk about this little dagger here. So you'll see here, I kind of, like I said, my shelves aren't super organized. There's more Joe Abercrombie. I know I had them up top, but I didn't have room for these. So this is Half a King. This is the beginning of his YA series that's based around Vikings, if I'm not mistaken, and then Sharp Ends, which is a short story collection that came out right before Age of Madness. Pretty good, liked it. And then you have, in my opinion, one of the most underrated fantasy series of all time, and that is Dagger and the Coin by Daniel Abraham, co-author of The Expanse. He's also written The Long Price Quartet, which Alan from Library Alexandria loves dearly. This is a series, in my opinion, that has immaculate character work, a really, really nice, intricate plot, and it just feels like quality. That's the best way I could describe it. It's a completed series as well. 5 books. They're not super duper long. You can get through them. There's some really cool stuff there. A different type of take on fantasy, and I like that about Daniel Abraham. He's willing to step out of his comfort zone and really tell a pretty unique story each time he comes out. Really looking forward to his new book coming out in March. And then we have a new release. I think this was this year. I can't remember. I definitely read it, though. I bought and read it. I really enjoyed the cover. It was pretty simplistic, and that's The Coward by Steve Arion. I really enjoy it. Steve Arion also has a YouTube channel where he gives writing advice. If you're at all interested in writing, I would really suggest that. Also, it's just kind of cool as a reader to hear about the process and how things get published and what's the way to go about that. Coward was a good book. I enjoy it. I'll definitely read book 2 when that comes out. Now we have the Prince of Nothing trilogy. They don't match. I know you can get them matching to this edition. It's unfortunate because it's one of my favorite trilogies of all time now, but they don't match. It's kind of ugly, but maybe one day I'll buck up and finally buy the first 2 in that edition to match them. Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. I actually really enjoy this book. Unfortunately, I haven't seen anything about it book 2, so I've kind of lost interest in the series, unfortunately. I'm sure whenever the second one decides to come out, or whenever she decides to publish it, rather, I'll check it out. But Ninth House, kind of a surprise. I don't think a lot of people would expect me to like a book like that, but it's actually really good. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Then we have the Books of Babel, which I bought all up front. I even pre-ordered the last one before reading it because I was so sure it was going to be a huge hit with me. And I will be putting out a review for Sin and Sense, probably. If not, I'll talk about it in my wrap-up for this month. But, oh man, Josiah Bancroft's a really good writer. This art's brilliant. The story, unfortunately, just didn't resonate with me. I don't hate it. There was nothing, super bad about it. There was nothing that made me go, ugh. I just didn't love the story being told to me. And that's just a personal taste thing. I will read book 2 and then maybe 3 and 4 after a certain time, but it has kind of went way down on my TBR after reading book 1. Again, I think Josiah Bancroft's a phenomenal writer. I really enjoy his writing. If he were to write anything else, I would not hesitate to pick it up. Unfortunately, though, it just didn't stick with me to jump a lot of other things in my TBR. So one day I'll continue that. And then we have the Red Rising trilogy with the other 2 books for the sequel trilogy. These came from my good friend Bach. So Bach, thank you for those. I appreciate it, man. Red Rising's great. And I'm actually been kind of itching to continue on because everyone tells me I'm really going to like these sequel books. So we'll see. Over here on his Little Lonesomes, Stormfront by Jim Butcher. Absolutely hate the design of this book. I like Stormfront, but oh my God, do I hate the tall, skinny. Who's asking for these? Like they're tall and they're skinny, and I didn't think it would be such a displeasure to hold in my hand until I did. So I'm either going to go through Book Depository for the UK editions, or I'm just going to do them all in audio because the audiobooks are phenomenal. And now we come down here and we have Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower. That's one I would really like to get to at some point. And then we have Miles Cameron, which I actually bought the Red Knight first, but the Red Knight, I don't know if it's going to end up being something I enjoy after seeing a couple reviews about it, but we'll see. More interested in this trilogy. It's supposed to be about a wizard and a boy. It's called Masters and Mages, and I love like an apprentice to a magician or a wizard. I'm all for that. If you jump over here, you also have The Master of Jin, P. Deji Clark. This is probably one of my most anticipated books of 2022. I've heard nothing but good things about Clark's work, and A Master of Jin seems like it's going to be right up my alley. It's like 1912 Cairo, Egypt, but if it had like modern day technology, like if things went different and the Egyptian Empire never receded and was like like the world power still, that's what it is in 19, I want to say it's 1912 or something like that. Really, really interesting premise. Yeah, The Alchemist, I haven't read that yet, but my wife has. She loves it. Haven't run Black Company yet, but I'm definitely going to because that is such a big influence on Steven Erikson, among other people, like Joe Abercrombie. And then we have the Expanse books. I've read book 1. I'm all caught up on the show. Need to watch this last season coming out. Really looking forward to reading on in that. I have not read book 2 or 3 or on. Then you have the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. This is one of, I would say it's in the top 5 things I want to read in 2022. We'll see whenever I release that video. Really, really interested to see how that's influenced John Gwen. We have the Combat Codes by Alexander Darwin. Oh, and we have my good friend Adrienne Dillard's books. She is a historical fiction author. She's written about Jane Boleyn, and also the second novel here, Corrado, is about Catherine Carey. Phenomenal historical fiction written from a first-person perspective. Really recommend you check that out. Adrienne's been a good friend of mine and a huge Song of Ice and Fire fan, and she's definitely a talented author. And then, speaking of talented authors that are friends, we also have Brian Lee Durfee over here with The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart. Those are both signed. He sent me those. Appreciate you, Brian, for those. I also have that sick bookmark he sent me. I absolutely love it. I used it whenever I read the books because I thought it was pretty thematic. Read both of these. And then we have Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames. I have not read this or The Last Son by Katie Edwards. Kings of the Wild is one I'm going to read, I think, when I'm in a slump because I think I'm going to really, really like it. Heard it's like getting the boys back together and going on a quest. I'm always in for that. And then The Last Son by Katie Edwards. I actually picked this up off of a Reddit recommendation. Someone said if you really like theorizing stuff, this is an ongoing series that a lot of people are excited about. And apparently it's like magic, but they have handguns and stuff. So I'm always interested in a different take on fantasy. So that's definitely one I'm excited to try out. I'm not sure when I'll get to it, though. And then we come to what might be my favorite of the alphabetical shelves. And that is, of course, the Malazan shelf. I mean, my goodness. To note, this is the Bantam Memories of Ice. I actually just won, I bought it now. I didn't win an auction. What am I saying? Did a buy it now for Memories of Ice for the Tour edition, first edition. So I'm really, really excited to get that. So at least some of the spines will match here. Yeah, these are by far, Malazan has my favorite covers of any series and my favorite titles. I think that you could make this a track list for a heavy metal album and it would all work, right? Like Toll the Hounds, Reaper's Gale, Dust of Dreams, Crippled God. Like those are really such good song titles. And then I have Forge of Darkness, The Gods Not Willing, Botulin and Corporal Brooch, novellas, short stories, and I have Night of Knives by Ian Esselmont, which I did read and really enjoyed. It made me excited to read on in the Malazan Empire. And then we have the illustrated editions of Robin Hobb. Now, I know I have my Robin Hobb shelf. I couldn't fit these on that shelf. These are immaculate. I think they're some of the best illustrated editions that I own. They're just tremendous. Okay, and now going over here, and I'll kind of try to hurry this along. But we have The Broken Earth by N.K. Jemisin, one of the best trilogies of all time that I've ever read. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, phenomenal. The Poppy Word trilogy, it's unique. I don't know if it's my favorite. I can say I haven't read anything else like it, if that's something to say. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think the protagonist is very, very polarizing. I don't feel like I hear people talking about the Poppy War anymore, and it was so popular whenever The Burning God came out or when Dragon Republic came out. If you've read the trilogy, I'd love to hear about it, because I feel like I hear more negative things now than anything. I was pretty mixed on the series, didn't really care for book 1 at all. But book 2 and 3, I did enjoy, and I actually liked the ending of The Burning God, even though there were some beats in the story I think that could have been a little bit better. And then we have TJ Klune, who's been such a delightful surprise. My wife read The House in the Cerulean Sea. I read it. We'd listened to it on audiobook together in the car on a trip. Phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. Cannot wait to read Under the Whispering Door. Then we have the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy. I heard beyond this it doesn't go too well, but this has been really recommended. I know Daniel Green's talked about it in a lot of videos as well. I've heard they're just really excellent, and I would like to read outside of fantasy just a little bit more. Not all the time. I mean, like maybe 5% of the time, and that would be one that I wouldn't mind giving a shot to. Of course, we have the beginning of the Greenbone Saga. I only bought book 1 of this because I'm not sure where it's going to land with me. Everyone seems to think it's going to be like the best things in sliced bread for me, but I'm trying to be cautious, especially with all my book shelf space dwindling. I have to be selective. So if I love Jade City, I will be doing Jade War and then Jade Legacy. Unfortunately, Jade Legacy paperback probably won't be out for like a year, so that kind of sucks. Now this is interesting. This was a self-published book that came out from Nicholas Letzow. I hope I said that right. From Dreams of the Undying. It says Enderal book. This is actually a Skyrim expansion that I ended up playing. Loved the story. Thought it was so good. And then he released a book based off the lore. And when I say a Skyrim expansion for the video game, I don't mean he just built on the Skyrim. He made his own narrative, his own game on the Skyrim engine over top. It's phenomenal. Loved it. And I really can't wait to read this book. I heard it tackles depression in one of the most mature ways ever in fantasy. And it's not your typical, like, there's combat at the root of it or war. It's much more of an internal struggle. And I think it's something that's probably going to resonate with me quite a bit. All right, we have We Ride the Storm by Devin Madsen. Again, this is one I just kind of randomly picked up on a whim. I haven't read it yet, but I'd like to. And I think book 2 and 3 are out now for that. Of course, we have Mort by Terry Pratchett again, tall, skinny ones. That's why I haven't bought any more Pratchett, because I can't find the releases that I would really, really like. Can someone let me know? Are the UK ones better? And then we have the man, the myth, the legend, Christopher Rocchio, someone that this is number one. This is like the number one most anticipated series that can't wait to start, and that's Sun Eater. These are the 3. There's also a book, I think it's a novella or maybe a collection of short stories. Someone can correct me on that. And then book 4 and 5, I think, are coming out in 2022. But these books have some of the best covers, best design. And shout out to Baron for sending me this. This is very hard to come by. And the fact that he sent that over to me meant a lot. So thanks, Baron. I appreciate that. You can check out his channel on YouTube. It's Your Brain on Books. Then I have my Brandon Sanderson. Obviously, you saw Stormlight on the top shelf. But we have The Emperor's Soul, which might be my favorite Brandon Sanderson book, actually. It's a novella. Loved it. Thought it was excellent. Edge Dancer, which I only kept because it's part of the Stormlight. I kind of want the whole novella, everything. And then we have Warbreaker, which was fine. Then we have Elantris, which I've heard so many people say they don't like, but I've also had people tell me, like, specifically that I'm going to like it. We'll see. I haven't read it yet. So then we have Tower and the Fool and Witcher. I have not read either of these. I'm more interested in Tower of Fools, to be honest, because I've played the games and watched the show for Witcher, and I know they're completely different. But this is just new, and I'd like to see how it ends up for me. But I'll read those one day. They're not very high on the TBR. Actually, I'll probably read The Witcher this year. Hyperion by Dan Simmons, masterpiece in my opinion. Empire's Room by Brian Staveley. I actually need to read the original trilogy before this, but I saw it in the bookstore and went ahead and grabbed it. And Tasha Suri's Jasmine Throne, one of the most anticipated new releases that I have. Haven't read it yet. I'd like to get to it this coming year. And then we have the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. This was the first American print of the Silmarillion, and I grabbed it from the same used bookstore that I got the Dark Tower books. They always have good stuff going down there at second edition books, and they're great. Tolkien. We have some Tolkien stuff here. Sword of Kaigan. I actually got this for free on Amazon Prime Books. Ended up buying it just to support the author because I thought this book was one of my favorites of last year. I think it was like in my top 4, if I'm not mistaken. Sword of Kaigan's phenomenal. And then it's Tad time, folks. We got Tad Williams everywhere. Had to put this up here for space, but I actually love these old Michael Whalen covers of the mass market paperbacks. They're so good. And then I have the trade paperbacks from Tad, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I mean, it's one of my favorite trilogies of all time. And The Heart of What Was Lost is the novella that comes after and kind of covers the bridging gap for The Last King of Oster, which the last 2 books should come out hopefully in 2022. And then when it does, I'll start those. And then I also have Brothers of the Wind, which just came out. Thought it was pretty good. Probably my least favorite Tad book out of everything. And I need to buy The War of the Flowers. I really, really like that book from Tad Williams, but there's not a really pretty edition, so I haven't bought it yet. And here we have the Winnowing Flame trilogy, not even available in the United States. I had to get them from Book Depository. I don't even think you can get these on Kindle, if I'm not mistaken. But Stuart, my subscriber for a long, long time, said I would really enjoy these. And everything I keep hearing about Jen Williams tells me that this is going to be a really, really fun trilogy. And I'm excited to get to it in 2022. Evan Winter's Rage of Dragons, Fires of Vengeance, The Burnings saga continues. There's going to be 4 books. Those covers are phenomenal. And really good time. I hear a lot of people kind of sour on Rage of Dragons over time, but to be honest with you, it's one of the most fun reading experiences I've had. It's not a perfect book, but I had such a good time. I really, really enjoyed it. And then this is a book that I have to read this year, and this is The Seasons of Albion by Chris Warman and Ilian Marsh. And Chris is a really good friend and supporter of the channel, but also, a self-published author. I've heard literally nothing but good things about this. It sounds like a very interesting premise. This one is signed. I won this on a giveaway, but I had already bought the book in digital. But it's awesome that I was able to win. I never win giveaways. So winning that giveaway and it being signed is pretty excellent. And I've been able to build a relationship with Chris over time. And I'm really, really thankful for that. And I can't wait to read his work. Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. People say, oh, you like Malazan. Well, just wait. I don't know when I'm going to get to that. It definitely way after Malazan because I gotta chill. Gotta let my brain recover. Janie Wart's Mistwraith, which starts off the Wars of Light and Shadow. This is going to be a priority, hopefully, for me in the coming months, and I have heard only good things. I've heard, again, fans of Malazan could really, really enjoy it, and I've heard it's kind of went under the radar of the last 2 decades as being like one of the better fantasy series that's been written. So I'm excited to jump into her work. She's releasing the 11th and final book this year as well. And here we have the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the first and second trilogy. These... I don't know when I'm going to get to them. First off, I got them in a collection off Amazon. Very, very nice. I actually really like these covers. I think they look really neat. They have matching covers. It's a nice set. I got about a quarter or a third of the way through Lord Falsbane, and I had to put it down because it's just written in a way that's very classical, and I have to be in the mood for that. And right now, I'm not in the mood for that, so we'll see if I'll return to that. And now we're going to get to the mess. So these are just random books. So is this, but this is more just random books that I've gotten recently that I haven't been able to put in order yet because I'm running out of space. But this is Green Rider, which Josephine from Josephine Reads. She recommended the Green Rider series, and I've heard only really good things about Kristen Britton's writing, so I'm really excited to get into that. I believe that's 7 books long, and Green Rider's short, but they get bigger and bigger as they go. We have Guy Gavriel. Okay, Lines of Al-Rassam was awesome. One of the better books I read this year. One of the best standalones I've ever read. And then we have the first book of the Finnevar Tapestry, which I hope to get to soon. And these two came from my good friend Pat, and it's The Pariah by Anthony Ryan. It's a book that I've been really interested in. Sounds like a kind of a vengeance tale of a guy who is a thief or with a band of thieves. I don't know. Sounds really interesting, and I want to give Anthony Ryan a shot because he's a really active author. And he has a lot of different series that cover different topics. So it'd be cool if I enjoy this and I can continue with his work. And then we have the good old Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I read this a long time ago, and I remember loving it as a kid, and I can't wait to read it again as an adult at some point. That'll probably be down the road. Then we have Roger Zelazny's The Book of Amber, which is 10 books, all in this one omnibus edition from Barnes & Noble. I've already read book 1. I actually really loved it, and I had no idea that Roger Zelazny is Neil Gaiman's favorite author, and also George R. R. Martin has a lot of influence from Roger as well. And I was very, very impressed, especially with the time period that it was released. They're really short books to read. I mean, if you can fit all 10 in what is smaller than most Stormlight books, pretty impressive. And yeah, I was very happy with book 1, and we'll be continuing that. Basically, I'll pick that up whenever I have time. Then we have this. I think this is one of the more intriguing covers, which is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. She's written a ton of books, but this one sounded really interesting. It's about like a female merchant where her father was also a merchant and has put her in a really bad spot and her family. And then obviously things unfold from there, and it's not just saving her family, but also all the people around her. It's short, standalone. I'd like to get to it soon. And then over here we have the first Outlander book. That's for my wife. Maybe I'll read it one day, maybe not. And then we have The Children of Dune and The God Emperor of Dune. I clearly had the first Dune book up on my top shelf. The second one I lent to a friend, and he still has not given it back. So, needless to say, I don't think he's enjoying it because it's been months. Underneath the Targaryen banner, you can see I have the Cat's Paw dagger from the Game of Thrones show. Also featured in the book. This came from Valerian Steel. Unfortunately, it did have a misprint, and it says Arya's blade on it. It said Arya's, which is very unfortunate. I tried to get in contact with them, and they didn't do anything for me, so I'm not super pumped with Valerian Steel right now, even though I have a lot of stuff from them. Yeah, a little disappointing. But this case, I mean, everything else is amazing. The build quality is very, very sharp, and the map inside that it sits over of Westeros, really, really cool. Then if you drop down here, this is Stephen King. It's just Stephen King all over, right? We have The Dark Tower, which is one of my favorite series of all time. I read it this year, thought it was tremendous. 11/22/63 is a book I'm in the middle of right now, and is probably going to take the spot of my favorite King book of all time, and probably one of my favorite books ever. Tremendous book. I have random assortments of Dark Tower. I pick up first edition, even if it's trade paperback, all the time. And plus, the Dark Tower Whalen cover is like one of my favorites ever. This Whalen cover is probably a top 5 cover for me. I absolutely love it. Dropping down here, you'll see I've been collecting more Dark Tower. It's a problem. We got Dr. Sleep, The Shining. I have not read all of these, by the way. There's still a lot on my shelves from King that I still need to read, but I've read a decent amount of them. Then we have it's old Pennywise. Hey there, man. So this here is a NECA figure I got, and I thought it'd be appropriate to put it in front of the It book, which I hopefully will be reading soon. And then On Writing by Stephen King, which I think is something most writers have at least given a glance at. And then you have the entire Vinland Saga that's been released here in the United States. I love it. I've not seen the show. I won't be watching the anime until I finish the manga. And yeah, I've been covering that here on the channel with Dudes Talking Manga with my friend Andrew. It's been a great time. We're in book 4 of the omnibus. And I don't know what pace we're going to continue, but it is quite the trip. And then we have the little bookend, just to make sure they keep standing up. Before I show you my George R. R. Martin shelf, I want to show you my Bridge 4 poster. Pretty cool. I got that from the Kickstarter when I did the leather bound. You'll see the Game of Thrones chess set here on top. The Lands of Ice and Fire has all the maps. Really, really cool. The Iron Throne bookend. We got the World of Ice and Fire. This is all 8 seasons with all the discs and things. I know everyone hates the show. I don't. I still have really good memories of it. And I love this box set. It's pretty awesome. It has a pin for Hand of the King that holds it all together. And these are all vinyls that come out. So you kind of like subtract from the scene as you take a disc out. It's really, really cool. And then we got some ones that I've collected, just random hardbacks that I saw. I love the old original covers. I think they're really cool. And then down here I have, actually I'm going to pull these off. So these are the Duncan Egg novellas as graphic novels, which if you haven't seen these, they're pretty cool. Unfortunately, getting a matching set's impossible. The first 2 you can get matching, but the third, which looks good, but it comes in hardback. Really, really neat. And then I have everything else. Fire and Blood, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is the Duncan Egg. I have Fever Dream and Ice Dragon. Also, I have this like little, almost like a Bible version of Game of Thrones. I think I own like 5 different versions of Game of Thrones. Storm of Swords, these are very well read. My Feast for Crows is upstairs, because I've actually started it even though I was supposed to wait a little bit. And some quick A Song of Ice and Fire memorabilia as well. This is a map I got off of Etsy. It's actually 3D. As you can see, it's all wooden pieces. This was handmade by someone in the Ukraine. I ordered this, has all the house sigils. This one is probably one of my favorite things I own. Then I went ahead and got all of the Funko Legacy set, and those I think are from McFarlane. But these are just some figurines that I got. You have Jamie, Brienne, or as Roy Detroit say, Brienne. Arya. You have Khaleesi, Khal Drogo, Robb Stark. All kinds of cool things. I love the Hound figure. It's really good. Wish the lighting was a little bit better. But yeah, so those are just some of my memorabilia. Also some Mulan stuff that my wife absolutely loves. And I've showed this off on stream a ton, but this is a painting from my best friend, Andrew, who does Dudes Talking Manga with me here on the channel, of the one and only true king, Bobby B. I mean, Bobby B is the best king ever in Westeros. Facts. If you don't agree, you're wrong. Sorry. But I love that. And then also I have a Middle Earth tapestry map here, which took about 1 million years to get here, but I'm so glad that it did. I love this map. It's massive, and it looks great on the wall. Okay, and the last shelf that I really have here is one in my living room. This is my cats. It's me and my wife. Grace of Kings by Ken Liu's up here because it just came in. But this is our newest shelf that we got. There's a Sarah J. Maas book. It's not mine, but maybe I'll read it. I know Alan from Library of Alexandria. That's his favorite author, Sarah J. Maas, and his favorite series, Court of Thorns and Roses? Yeah. I think he has a tattoo, actually, of that. So go check out the Library of Alexandria if you want some more Sarah J. Maas content. And then Richard K. Morgan, trilogy here, A Land Fit for Heroes. My best friend, Andrew, again, got me the 50th year anniversary edition. This is amazing. Such a good edition. Has a little ribbon to mark your spot. I love this. And down here, we have November 9, which I think is Colleen Hoover. It's my wife's book. Then I have the Madeline Miller books, which is Song of Achilles and Circe. I've read Song of Achilles and loved it. I'm really excited for Circe. Then we have Neil Gaiman. I just started to read Neil Gaiman. I've only read Ocean at the End of the Lane and Good Omens. I absolutely loved Ocean at the End of the Lane. Thought it was super charming. Cage of Souls by Adrian Trafkowski. This book's going to get donated. I did not like it at all. And then we have King's Dragon by Kate Elliott. Another huge series that went under the radar. I've been told that it is very much like A Song of Ice and Fire, and I'm really excited to start it. It's 7 books, and it's published by DAW, who has published other books that I love. and just one that I've heard a lot of really good things about, especially as you get further into the series. This book here is actually a recommendation from Steven Erikson. He gave me this recommendation after talking about how much I enjoyed the idea that maybe there were civilizations before humanity on Earth, and we had a really awesome talk, and he recommended this to me. It's by Julian Jaynes, and it's The Origin of Consciousness in the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. I don't even know if I said all that right, but yeah, that book's going to blow my mind, and it's one that he recommended, so I picked it up, because Steve's a smart guy and a good dude, so... She Who Became the Sun, that's another one of my wife's books. I think this is just the Dust Jacket. She's actually reading it currently. And then here we have a Game of Thrones pop-up book, which, if I could kind of show you, this is a Game of Thrones pop-up map book. Pretty neat. I got it at the used bookstore. They used to charge like $60 or $70. I got it for like $10. Which is pretty awesome. And then we have the first 5 deluxe editions of Berserk. I am in number 3. I keep them wrapped to try to contain myself to not sprint through these because I am absolutely in love with Berserk so far. Like I said, I'm like maybe 150 pages into edition 3, and I'm just absolutely loving it. I'd like to pretend like I'm not going to get all of the deluxe editions, but I am. So I'll have to figure out what to do with those. And then right here comes up to my friend Robert sent these from the UK. And this is a trilogy that is very, very high on my list, and it's the Empire Trilogy by Raymond Feist and Jenny Warts. We talked about Jenny Warts a little bit earlier in the tour. Well, he sent me these because these are feel like they're really, really hard to find, but he gave me all 3 editions. They're well read, but they look great, and I'm really excited to read these. And to wrap this all up, I got the Song of Ice and Fire Johnny Walker bottles, but I also got the collector's editions for the scotches that they released. And I'm still missing the Iron Islands, obviously, which not a big loss, if I'm being honest. And I will get that one day. But these are really good. The best tasting one, in my opinion, is either the Six Kingdoms Special Edition, which is really, really great, or Oben's Watch, the Night's Watch one, which has the entire Night's Watch saying or oath right there on the front. That one's probably the best tasting one. And that'll do it for the 2021 book tour here on the Fantasy Network. I want to thank you. I'm glad that this is finally done to show off everything I had. I'm sure I'll get new books and maybe we'll do it again. I do have some swords. I have Ice, Longclaw, and Needle. I'd love to show those off as well, but this video is already getting very, very long. If you want to see that, comment down below if you're still watching, and maybe I'll pull them out in a wrap-up if you'd like to see those or something like that. But thank you so much for checking this out. Hit like if you like this, subscribe if you love it. If you dislike it, hit dislike, and there is a Patreon down in the description. Optional, but always appreciated. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. And until next time, remember to always keep turning the page.